You're listening to SM Media. Hi, folks, and welcome to our debut episode of the 80 on SM Media. This is your podcast for all things West Region. We are here for the 80 clubs, the 80 players, the 80 staff, and the 80 fans. We are going to be here all season. We are going to be joined by people from all 80 clubs. We're going to be talking to fans, we're going to be talking to players. We are going to be covering all things West Region all season long. I first want to say off the get-go, thanks to everyone associated with the West Region for all the support over the summer with the kind of difficulties we had. I'm delighted to be back here. As I say, we are focused on fully supporting all the clubs, the players, everybody like that. And I want to thank everyone as well for their focus on this season and the support to getting this podcast off the ground again. It is a pleasure to be joined by two big minds of the West Region. First of all, it's quite a surprise to see Jamie McKim without anything to do this summer. But I am delighted that he's given up his time to join me here on this episode. It is a pleasure to welcome Jamie McKim.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks for keeping me busy.
It's a pleasure. I'm looking forward to keep you busy. I'm interested to see how you're going to approach your predictions for this episode. And back by popular demand, we had him on last year. I think he did the best of the five of us that did it last season. So we've got him back by popular demand. A pleasure to welcome Garry O'Hanlon.
Thanks very much, Scott. Looking forward to it. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. I'm looking forward to this. Obviously, West of Scotland starts on Saturday. We are very much into full domestic action is back. Jamie, I know what people are going to think, obviously, with this season. There's a lot happening. There's a lot going on. How does it feel for you, obviously, kind of being on the outside, looking in and kind of seeing things from a different perspective? How are you kind of approaching this season?
It's strange, Scott. It's very different. I think, see, if you've been a young boy and you start playing, I think this is probably the first time since I'm maybe 5 or 6 that it's come into pre-season and that season starting and you're not involved somewhere. So it's very different, but you're still excited to go and watch games, see different things. I think for me, looking at this year, there's no pressure on me at the moment. You're looking at it and you've got a selection of games. You don't need to be anywhere. You have the choice of what you want to do, the choice of who you want to watch. So I've taken quite a lot of games on recently, and it's been enjoyable. I never ever thought I would say this, but I've enjoyed the break I've had so far. But I think that's more just re-energising and being ready for what comes next.
Garry, obviously last year, I think you deserve the gold medal while won Olympic season for your predictions last year. I think you get most pretty spot on. How are you approaching this season? Like, what's your thoughts on the way the West developed this year?
Probably just do what I done last year and just wing it, to be honest. I felt for the teams that I'd seen that they were pretty strong, and like I said, I think my heart got over my head with the first division. I was miles out with that, but the rest of them, for what I seen, like your eyes don't lie to you, so I felt comfortable with what I seen, and I wasn't too far away. So hopefully this year I'll be in the same sort of bracket as well. So
Garry, I didn't know you had done this before, and I would have waited till it was somebody that was less experienced.
I just found it so one off.
We're going to get a lot right and a lot wrong. I think the West is probably as competitive as it's ever been. I said that last year, but I think this year it's even bigger as well. I think teams are finally finding the level as well. I think this is where we will see the pyramid in full effect. Right, let's get into it. We've got 5 leagues to cover. There's a lot I want to get through here in terms of different clubs, different positions. The way it's going to work, I am going to put to Jamie and Garry and obviously myself, top 3 and bottom 3 for each league. As I say, please to all the people, I know last year it didn't get taken personally. I hope it doesn't get taken personally again this year. It's all for a bit of fun. I know a lot of this is going to go up on dressing room doors. I hope it does, because I think this is obviously really important to get a feel on how the leagues are going to work. Let's start with the Premier Division. Obviously, Jamie, first of all, be either going for 3 in a row. bit of change it be this season. Obviously, a few players out, a few players in. Where are we at with kind of the Premier Division? Because you've got Bede there, obviously won it again very well. Talbot, I think, performed excellent compared to what we expected at the start of the season. Clydebanks and Caddocks all did very well. You had lots likes of Largs. There's so many sides now. You've got three interesting sides coming up as well. The Premier Division this season, I think, looks absolutely stacked.
I think looking at it, I had a look this morning, and there's so many teams. I think it's really, really difficult to predict. But as you said, with Bede going for the 3 in a row, I watched Bede last night for maybe part of the second half, and they obviously don't look the same team. But with the losses that they've had, but they've also strengthened well. And I think when you look at them last year, when they lost a couple of players, and obviously Josh Fowler leaving, everybody's going, they're not going to be the same, not going to be the same. But they're still the best, and I think they'll be right up there again. I really do. I think they have a good chance.
Gary, obviously there are sides there that are knocking in the door. Cumnock, I think, have strengthened pretty well this season. Gartcairn have spent a bit of money. There's sides that are knocking on the door. As I say, the sides coming up. Who do you like? What do you kind of look at for the Premier Division this season in terms of the sides that have really performed? Pollock and Darvel are quite interesting. You've got the likes of Troon, Glenafton, so many sides that could really compete. What do you think with the West? We'll not get your predictions just yet. Just give us a summary with the Premier Division, what you think before we get into your predictions.
Just similar with Jamie. The last sort of few weeks, there's been a lot of big moves. I think the boys saying went for Darvel to Clydebank, so I think that was a massive, massive statement. I didn't see that coming, to be honest. I really didn't. I thought he would. It just came out of nowhere, and then obviously the boy Diver going for Beath to St Caddocks as well. I think that they're going to be up there. Auchinleck obviously left it late last year where they started pretty poor, but they came back up. And I think that I went to watch the Beath Auchinleck game, and there wasn't too much in it, to be honest. But I think the momentum will kind of go in Auchinleck Talbot's favour for me. Clydebank will be pushing up. A lot of from Chapel coming into the league. I think it's a lot harder this year. Last year it was I'm not saying just because I get the majority of them right, but I feel that this year's there isn't a lot in it. There really isn't. It's so many top teams. It's really, really strong.
Jamie, I have to ask obviously about your old club, Johnson Borough. Probably the talking team of the summer. Obviously the signings they've made. They brought in Jordan Moore for Darvel, Daniel O'Neill for Bede, Aaron Mason for Bede. There's a lot of talent in that side. You're obviously your old club. I imagine you'll still have a soft spot for them. What are you expecting? What is success for Johnson this season? Because obviously they're coming up. Where do you see, like, what do you think will be success for Johnson this year?
I think with the players that they've brought in, I think you need to be up there. Like, you need to be challenging, I think. For Johnston, but you're right, I will always have a soft spot there because that's essentially the club that gave me an opportunity to get into the game. So it's one of the ones I think they've signed well. I think they've also lost players that they could have done without losing. But I think with who they've brought in, they need to be trying to challenge at the top. Especially, listen, everybody knows that there's good finance there, and they're not the only club. That's the one thing that annoyed me last year, that everybody said it was one club, but it's not the only club. But there is obviously, they've brought in the likes of Cam Eady, Danny O'Neill, who I think will do really well for them. Yeah. I think Cam Eady will be massive if they need to keep him fit, obviously. And I think the boy Mason's done very, very well for them in pre-season. Yeah. But for me, it will boil down to Kyle Lafferty being fit and involved. If he, from what I've seen with him, and I only had him for a short time, if he's fit and he plays, for me, he'll be the best player at the level. But that could be the difference.
Yeah. I did obviously want to ask you about Kyle, obviously, because I think it gained a lot of traction when he came into the west of Scotland, as we know, and we only kind of saw brief glimpses. I remember the first game, I think it was at Renfrew, he scored 2, and then he obviously had the bad injury against Drumchapel, and we didn't see him after that. But it's not just Kyle. Like, you look at the McCann brothers, you look at Del Esplin, Graham Dorrans as well, like Jason Naismith was there. So much experience. Is there an interesting blend of a lot of experience, but you've also got a lot of young talent coming in, the likes of your your Daniel O'Neills, Jordan Moores. There's players obviously coming in. Malcolm McDonald, I've always thought was highly rated. There's a mix there. Do you think that is going to blend well this season?
I think that's probably the most important aspect. I don't know, because I don't know the dynamics of the dressing room that's there now. But for me, that'll be the biggest thing. There's no doubt these boys are good players.
Mm-hmm.
But how are they going to mix? How's the dressing room dynamic going to be? I think will be huge. And you mentioned Malcolm McDonald there, who's been there for a long, long time. I think he's developed into one of the best midfield players that there is at the level.
Yeah.
And I'm expecting him to have a massive season. I think he's not just a good player, he's one of the types of boys, as I said, very, very good boy.
Yeah.
I think will have a huge season for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, Gary Johnson, one of the three sides that came up. Shorts, I think, a massive achievement for them to get promotion. Obviously, getting far in the cup as well. I think John has done a marvellous job there. But Drumchapel, obviously, another side with a lot of backing. We saw last season how good St Cadoc's did in their first season up. There's a lot of confidence in the sides that are coming up that they can kick on, and I think that's quite important. Obviously, there are players who are obviously like doing very well at their clubs, but it's not just a case of like you're coming up and you're trying to stay up. There's clubs coming up here and wanting to challenge for the first time asking.
Aye, definitely. Like I said, John's done a remarkable job at Shorts. It's again back to what I said earlier. Just everybody, they're going to be competing against each other, and it's going to be everybody's going to pick up points against each other. I said it last year, and I know it's an old cliche, but I can't really see too many teams that are going to be away down at the bottom in terms of 20, 30 points like the way that it was this year. But as you say, it's getting stronger. Drumchapel's come in massive. Again, it's just every team offers something different. I was down watching Largs the other day against Petershill, and I think even they might be a sort of surprise package. I thought that two of their players, is it Will Sewell up front, the striker, and the boy Jamie Martin, I believe it right. I thought they were fantastic. I honestly, the game was very flat, but when Will came on, he scored two within 2 minutes. So like I said, they could be a surprise package. It's just the ones that you maybe don't think are the big names or the big spenders as such that might just come under the radar.
Right, let's get into it. Jamie, your top three, you don't have to be in a particular order. Why are you picking the three sides that you picked to finish at the top of the table?
I'm picking St Cadoc's as a winner.
Okay.
I think, for me, I think Martin's a very, very good coach, good manager. I think they were excellent last year. I know they had a slow start, but for me, they were the best footballing team in the league. You can't take away from being the best in terms of all-round package in the league when they win the league. You can't deny that. But for me, St Cadoc's played some really good stuff. Martin's got a great way about him. He's recruited well, I think, bringing Diver in, bringing a couple of others, and obviously bringing Tiff into the backroom team as well. So I think they're in a really, really good place. I think the stability they have in the terms that they've got that continuity with the same squad. I can't see past them. I think they're a tough team to play against. Obviously we would not put them at Scottish Cup last year, but they're a good side. And for me, the other two, and I think they speak for themselves, are Auchinleck and Meath.
Okay.
I wouldn't go second and third, but I think, Gary, you mentioned earlier, but I think it's just about the mentality these guys have got, where they can go on the runs of games, and it's not about being great, always being good at football. It's just about knowing how to win games, and I think the guys in those teams know how to do that. But last year, Auchinleck never had a great start either. 10 games and people are wanting to tuck it out the door, but he done brilliant last year, and I think they finished really strongly. And Beath, again, as I said, I watched them last night. I didn't think they were great. They get beat at Rosson last night, but it wasn't full strength, and I still expect they've got a really, really top manager. I think Straune's won. This would be 3 in a row if they got that. Is that right?
Yeah.
You said. But another one that we just spoke about there, I know Gary saying about Largs being up there. I wouldn't be surprised about them being up, but I think they had a brilliant season last year. But that's my three: St Cadoc's, Auchinleck and Beath.
Okay, Gary, who's your top three and why?
I've wrote down exactly the same. The only difference is that I've put Auchinleck to go and win it. That's what St Cadoc's second and Beath to sort of finish third. I just think I think it's kind of a bit of a younger squad that Tucker's maybe got down there at Auchinleck. They started to maybe, and then like I said, they've started to grow momentum, and I think that this year that they'll really grow into what he's building down there. I've not been to see St Cadoc's. I know a lot of the players that are there, and I know that the big boy that they've signed, Diver, as well, that his goals, he's always in the right place at the right time, and he always seems to get the goals. I think that'll maybe take a big dent into Beath, but I still, again, with Beath as well, that they know how to win games, they know how to get points when they're under the cosh. So that's the way that I'm going for Auchinleck, St Cadoc's and Beath.
I think that mentality thing's massive at the level. It's, as I said, it's Auchinleck and Beath. It's not always pleasing in the eye where I think St Cadoc's are, but the mentality just to go and win, when regardless where you're going in November, December, how the surfaces are, they just win, and that's massive.
Just game management as well. Just how they. I was watching, as I said, down at Auchinleck when they went the drew, and it was just they were there for the point. They could see that, and they held on, and they got what they needed. And the way they went on to win the league. So, just say the mentality is a big thing for both of the clubs.
Yeah, absolutely. You've obviously got the same three in different orders. I've got two of them. I think you could throw 6 or 7 teams in there, like Clydebank are in my top three, although I think Moff has been excellent recruitment again, bringing in David Syme, a lot of really good talent in there as well. Obviously, Andy Leishman's going to be a massive player for them this season. Keeping players fit, I think, is going to be huge. I don't have Auchinleck in my top three, but again, I think Tucker's done really well. Tucker is the standard of West of Scotland football, and the reason I say that is because last season, as you say, after 10 games, I think a lot of people were saying this Talbot team's kind of done, and he somehow galvanised them. He brought in a couple of really smart bits of business, like Kyle McAvoy came in at the right time, and he managed to get a couple of players back in defence, which I think made a massive difference. And they were so close to winning the league. Like that was a massive achievement to get anywhere close to winning the league from where they were. But again, it's just the competitiveness of the league. I think it's going to be so tight. I wouldn't be surprised if come like March we're talking about 6 or 7 sides that can win the league. Like really think it's that close. Gartcairn will be good. Drumchapel will be good. My first team in my top three, I would not sleep in Cumnock having a really good season this year. I think Stephen Swift is a massive appointment. I think some of the players they've brought in at different levels. They brought in, obviously, Josh Jack for Broomhill, which is an excellent piece of business. Really big fan of him. He stood out like a sore thumb in the Lowland League. And they then obviously bring in a couple of players who have obviously big experience in the SPFL. Joe McKee for Peterhead, marvellous player. Right age as well for a bit of experience at that level. Blair Curry, the goalkeeper, said that when I first heard it. That's one of the signings of the season. Stephen McCluskey is going to come in. Right, good age to work with young players as well. There's still a good young crop there. Like, there's so many good players in that league. Like John Craig as well, like young left back for Broomhill. Really impressed with him. Dylan Dykes has done well. I think Cumnock could be really, really worth keeping an eye on this season. I wouldn't be surprised if they're in amongst it. Beath, again, they have lost players. They've lost Kieran Diver. I think as well, though, Daniel O'Neill's a massive miss, but bringing Ricky Little in, I think, is the perfect replacement. Just somebody with a bit of experience in there. They've, look at who they've got in their side. Carlo Monti, good bit of experience. The boy Stoughton Nets has been very, very good. It's replacing Kieran's goal. So we said that last season when they lost Josh. Replacing him, I think Lewis Lovering could play quite a part. I'm quite impressed with that signing for Ben Burb. Bees would be my top three. I'm going with St Cadoc's to win it. I think St Cadoc's, Kieran Diver coming in. Martin is such an exceptional coach. We'll get into off-the-wall predictions later on. I wouldn't be surprised if Martin Fellows is managing at a higher level this time next year. Like, he's that good a coach. Like, he's so impressive and knows how to win games. You know what I mean? He brought a lot of players in that he knew. They developed really well. And this season, he's brought in Kieran Diver, probably one of the best players in the league last season, and then goes and brings in Mark Kelly for Dumbarton. Do you know what I mean? Somebody who knows the level pretty well as well. Obviously did well in the Lowland League. I think St Cadoc's are really kicking on this year, and I wouldn't be surprised if they go and kick on and win.
100%.
happening. But yeah, St Cadoc's beating Cumnock, but again, you could have 8 or 9 teams. I mean, we haven't obviously mentioned the likes of Pollock, Darvel, Hurlford, Largs, who are all worth keeping an eye on as well. In terms of bottom 3, Jamie, who do you think could be in that area this season?
But see, before you go on to the bottom 3, right? See the top 3s that we mentioned. There was a point when I was looking at this morning that I could have had Cairn, Clydebank, Johnston Borough.
I've changed it 8 times.
Any of them, because it's so competitive, and I think it's, as I said earlier, it's down to the mix of the people that are there.
Yeah.
Because some of the teams they've got good resource, they have good players, but for me the 3 teams just stand out.
Yeah. Who you got in bottom 3?
The one that my first one was Benburb.
Okay.
I think they'll really miss Paul Overton this year. I think he was a big presence for them over the last few playing against these teams. I've seen the presence he had, the effect he had on them at the side. To be honest, this is one that I thought was really difficult out with them. I've seen obviously Benburb get beat off on Nielsen at the weekend. There's a couple of other results, and speaking to a couple, but I've not seen them personally, but speaking to a couple of others that have seen them, what I've heard. But within that, from what I've seen last year, I think a lot of people will expect Shots to go straight back down. And for me, I don't see that. I think Big John's done a brilliant job there. And I think they're going to be really, really tough to play against for everybody in the league. But the other 4, the Benburb was the one that I had down it, and the other 4 I had it between was Troon, Darvel, Glenafton, and Shots.
Okay.
I didn't manage to get you 3, I'm sorry. But
I'm writing them down, you'll need to pick 2.
For Darvel, right, I think that Michael Oliver's a very good coach, and he plays some really good stuff.
Yeah.
We played Ashfield last year. They were the best side I thought we played at the time. But I think it's a hard job to go in there into that league when it's so competitive. And obviously you've lost so many players. So I could be wrong and he goes and finishes 3rd. But
that sort of league though, it could happen. Like, do you know what I mean? We could be sitting here in August and
I wouldn't be surprised because he signed he brought Conor McGlinchey and Ross McKenzie that I had last year, who for me could go and play for any team in the division and stand out. But you just don't know. I definitely Benburb and Troon, I think.
Okay.
You need to give me a couple of minutes to get my 3rd.
Okay, I'll come back to you. Gary, do you want to take over?
I think Jamie's been copying me here, or I've been copying Jamie. I don't know what it is, but I've got Benburb and Troon in there as well, and I've also put Glenafton in. That's the way that I'm looking at it. I think Troon, they've kind of just been above the relegation zone the last few years. Into last year, I kind of thought they would maybe creep up a wee bit. I think they've lost a few players as well. I think Dino's away down to Govan. I might be right in saying that.
Yeah.
I think he's a big character. He's been there for a long time. I know that's just off the field, but I think we're a big presence. Benburb will be drawn in, and I think Glenafton, they've just kind of been, the last few years, they've just kind of been just okay. And I think with how competitive it is now, the other team's been a lot stronger now that are just too strong. That's the way that I'm looking at it. Glenafton, Benburb and Troon to go down.
Okay, I have got Benburb as well. I do agree with Jamie that I think Paul's presence, I think they did so well at the start of last season. I think it was a surprise as well when Paul announced he was leaving. And I think they were stable just at the right time. But I say they've lost a few players. Aaron Black's at Darvel, I think. Lewis is away. The boy McDonald's away. I think he's at Darvel as well. But there's a few big players on the side and a lot of young talent as well. And I think that was a kind of big part of their side. I can see Benburb struggling, and again, I really like a lot of people there, and I know Martin's done really well. He's got a bit of continuity as well, but I just think there are a few players that are very hard to replace. Troon are creeping up as well. I think Dean's a big loss, but I think they've lost a lot of players as well who were big players for them in the past few years. I really like Jimmy. I've got a lot of time for him. I just think with the way the league is now, I think you have to have a really good start. And I've looked at Troon's fixtures early on, and they're really tough. And I think that could be a big worry for me. So Benburb and Troon, in between Glenafton and Shots, I'm not sure. Glenafton, I think, have just been stable for a while. They've obviously had a lot of transition with going through different managers. the right guy is in now. I think Ryan's a terrific appointment. I've always thought he would be very, very good at a side like Glenafton. I think he's the right guy to take them forward. Is the league maybe too tough for them this season? We've seen with Meadow and winning in the past couple of seasons. Big teams can go down. I can see Glenafton struggling this season, but I do think, I mean, obviously being local to them, I do want to see them doing well, but I can't be blind. I think John's done a terrific job at Shorts. I watched Glenafton against Shorts last season, and Shorts played them off the park. And that's kind of creeping into my thoughts as well. I think Shorts can come in here, kind of finish 9th or 10th and have a really solid season. Whereas I don't see Glenafton finish higher than maybe 12th, if that makes sense. Like, I think if Glenafton, I think if it's Glenafton, you're hoping one of the big sides that are well fancied struggle, and you pick up the pieces. And the same thing happens last season. They looked down and out at points last season, and they somehow get through. Could it be a season too long for them? I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping, again, it's so hard to pick bottom sides because you've got a lot of relationships with sides, and I know people will be upset, but Ben, Bob, Troon and Glenafton are the teams I'm going to go for. But again, it's really, really tough. I'm going to go with Gary in this. You picked your third team yet, Jamie?
See for me, looking at Glenafton, I think if it wasn't for Cardigan in there last year, I think they'd have been gone.
Yeah, 1,000%. 1,000%. And everybody at the club, every fan will tell you that as well.
But he's the reason I'm reluctant to say that.
Yeah, and that's my other thing as well, because I think he came in. I remember speaking to him in the Clydebank game where they played some really good stuff, and Clydebank just won on the day. But after that, they went on a great run, and it just was that wee run that kind of kept them up. And like, obviously, I think what helped them as well, Rob Roy had the South Cup, Atherley the Junior Cup. I don't know if they would have went down if they didn't have that. Do you know what I mean? So, and they've struggled the past couple of seasons, Glenafton. They've been in that position where they've just held on, and the league is so much harder now than it was last season because you've got sides that are coming up that aren't going to go straight back down. And I think this might just be a season too much.
I hope not. But
I hope no either, but you going with Glenafton?
I'll go with you too, but I hope not. I hope I'm wrong.
Right, on to the bun fight that is the first division. If you pick the top three and the bottom three of this, then you can probably come on here full time. You can probably take the channel over from me. You can probably go on and become Prime Minister and President, because you must have psychic powers that nobody in the world has. You must be Mystic Meg if you can predict the top three and bottom three here. Jamie, you've been in it. How hard is this league?
Horrendous. It's so difficult because every opponent it brings something different. Because I'm probably going to say 3 teams to go up, and one of them could end up going down. You know, so you just don't know. But it's a really tough league, and I just think it's so even across the board. You're looking at teams like watching Ardrossan last night, and they're beating Beath 4-2. They're comfortable. They were really, really good last night, but you don't know how they're going to be in that league. No idea.
Yeah. Who you got top 3?
Atherley is a winner.
Okay.
Irvine Meadow second.
Okay.
And Rutherglen third.
Okay.
I watched Atherley's second half on Saturday against Cali Braves.
Okay.
Came back for 2-0 down to draw 2 each. And I think middle to front Atherley look excellent. I think it was Ralston and Jordan Layden in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Healy wide left, Bolger wide right, and a new boy they've got for amateurs up top.
Yeah.
Obviously, Brophy's just signed for them, so I'd imagine maybe in the 10 or run about. And I think for that league, that would be very, very strong.
Okay. Meadow, what do you think of them?
This is hard because I've put Irvine Meadow there, right, and I've seen a couple. I've seen some of their signings that I think look really strong. But I also watched them 2 weeks ago against my brother's team, and my brother's team beat them 5-1 really comfortably. But I don't want to take any shine off. I don't want Irvine Meadow their full team out, but Glenvale were very, very comfortable in it and looked good. But I just think when you look overall at what they've got and the other teams in the league, I think they could be right up there. Second, I think they obviously brought Paul Payton in the middle of the pitch. They've still got the boy Ewan Baird, wide left, who's really, really quick. They just look as if they've got that wee bit about them that they could go and do well. So that's my prediction. See, to be fair, I looked at it earlier and I've got Rutherglen in his third. I could have had Thornleywood in there. I could have had St Roch's in there. There's a couple, but at the moment, that's the ones I think are favourites.
Gary, give us your top three for the cauldron that is the first division. How tight is this league, and give us a top three if you can.
Just laughing at something here. With Rutherglen Glencairn, I predicted him to go down last year.
So you did, aye.
Bumped into Billy Ogilvie at an event through at Norton House, and he chinned me. So this year they're going to be my top three. No, but all joking aside, I've got Ardrossan. I think I don't know, they're similar. They're just a winning machine. Like, again, third, second, just know how to get results. Petershill, I think, will be decent this year. I think they will be in the top three. And obviously I'm going to go with Rutherglen Glencairn as well. So that's the way that I'm looking at the first. So that's it. We've not got to the bottom three yet, have we?
No, we'll get there in a second. I do think Rutherglen. I think Rutherglen were very, very unlucky in what we got last season. I think and again, looking at kind of something, they brought a couple of players in. Jack McElveen's back. I think he's been very important for them in recent years. They've got a really good crop of players, really good manager as well. And Joe, I think Rutherglen will be one of the three. Ardrossan, it's hard to see past them with a firepower. Like, I think they scored 79 goals, Wilson, Curran, Ferris, between them last season. And they've got a lot of talent in there as well. Chris Craig's still there. They've got a really good manager. Gavin Friels has done terrific there. They beat Beeve last night. And again, we don't know what the side Beeve had, but going there and winning 4-2, marvellous. And I spoke to a couple of people at the winning game as well, and they said they were brilliant that as well. I can see them doing very well. They play co-winning first game, I'm pretty sure, but I saw Ardrossan, maybe not co-winning, sorry. They were at friendly, and I was really taken with what people were saying about them. And you can literally have 6 or 7 teams, and I'm just going to rhyme off a few before I pick my third one. Thornleywood, I think, will be good. Rob Roy, I think John getting in there is a massive appointment. I think it's obviously having their stadium there is going to be important as well. Arthurley, I think they'll do pretty well. Petershill will do well. Vale of Clyde could do pretty well. But I'm going to go for St Roch's. I think St Roch's last season were really, really good, and they've added Sean Slavin, who was one of the best players in the league last season. They've added him for Ashfield. Ian's beginning to build his side. They've kept a lot of their players. Really good fan base. Rutherglen, Ardrossan, St Roch's, but you could literally have 9 or 10 teams in here. Meadow could be up there. Winning, I think, could do okay. I think this is going to be a bit of a building season for the Buffs this season. Obviously, I think Kevin's the right guy to go in there. Colburnley, I think, could be close as well. They were unlucky last season. But literally, every week I talk about how hard this league is. Really hard to pick a top 3. This is the hardest one to pick, I think, the first, because it's so hard. You could literally have 7 or 8 teams. Rutherglen, Ardrossan, St Roch's for me, top 3. Jamie, who's your bottom 3?
Ashfield.
Okay.
The first one. I think they're going to struggle to recover for Michael even, and a lot of the players gone as well. I think for me, obviously Ross Wilson's went into Blantyre as well, and I think that came very, very late in the day. And I think Ross is a brilliant coach. I think he can do very, very well there, but I feel that would maybe be too late for him.
Lost a lot of players, haven't they?
I hope not. I've seen it today, and it's a big one thing I will say. The goalkeeper, they've managed to keep him at last year. I thought he was excellent, the boy Lucas.
Yeah.
He was excellent when we played against him. But it's just whether it's going to be too late or not for him. And there, the other 3 I was looking at was between. I've not seen Cumbernauld for a long time, so I don't know what's coming there. And then I watched my brother's team play Renfrew again last week, and I think they need somebody that's going to put the ball in the net. If they don't, I can see it being difficult for them. Just the amount of pressure. They played well last week again when Glenvale went down. I think it was 2-0 and finished. And I'm looking at the standard opposition, and it's nothing against them, but you're looking at going into that league and it being very, very competitive. And if you don't take chances, I think it'll be a long season for them. So I think it was with them, and obviously with co-winning with the new guys coming in, I think they've lost a lot of big players. I looked at the squad list today and I didn't see Kieran Wood, if he's still there. I know Boydie was
I think Boydie's still
possibly
there. I don't know about Kieran Wood. I'll
so
find out.
I don't know. But I think the winning season will depend on a lot of the boys still being there.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I think there's obviously, I think Kevin's brought in a lot of young kind of players that he knows well, but I do think you need experience, especially at a club like the Buffs where there's a lot of pressure. I'm interested to see the Buffs this season. I hope Kevin gets it right because I have a lot of time for him. Gary, who's in your bottom three for the first division?
Kilmarnock Rangers won't be, I don't think. That boy Kevin, who's come in to take over for them, but I think he'll get them playing really well. He's a good coach. I think they'll be probably mid-table. I don't see them going down, but the bottom three, I agree with Renfrew. I think that they'll be down the sort of bottom end of the table. I think I'm going to put Meda down as well. I know that you were kind of saying at the top end of the table, but I think they've kind of been struggling obviously the last year. They've obviously been relegated, but I just think that they're going to be down at the bottom end, and then it could be 2 or 3 here. I want to jump in the bandwagon with Mabel that I done last year, but I think Thornwood might be down there as well. So that's the 3 that I'm going for.
Okay, so Renfrew,
Meda. Who was the first one, Gary? Who did you say?
Renfrew, Meda, and Thornwood. That's what I'm thinking.
I think Renfrew. I think I have the exact same reason that Jamie said. I think the goals, I think it's been a big issue for them. It was last season. I think they're quite tight at the back, but I think it is. I think it all comes down to, especially in this league, you're not going to get a lot of games here that's going to be 3 or 4 nothing, but you're going to need to win games with the odd goal. And goal-wise, I'm not sure where their goals are coming from. So I think Renfrew could struggle. Ashfield, do think they picked a good appointment in Neil Schoenville. Do think that's a good appointment. I think it's a different type of manager to Mick Oliver, but there's a lot of players leaving. Like you look at who Ashfield had: Bobby Barr, Sean Slave, and Johnny Black. That was a big part of what they're doing. I don't know where Bobby Barr is. I have actually tried to find out. I know Johnny's away to Darvel, and obviously Sean's away to St Roch's. I think Ashfield might struggle. And I'm with you, Jamie and Blantyre. I just think he's maybe come in too late. And really like Ross. I've always had really good dealings with him. But I looked at the squad list this morning and thought my fears are beginning to creep in with them because they did very, very well last season. Like I think I'm right in saying I think they only scored 35 goals and I think they only conceded like 37. But they finished something like 6th, but if you're losing a lot of those core players and you're not replacing them for better or similar, this league's going to gobble you up. And that's kind of where I'm at.
I hope he stays up. He's a good coach, and I think he would do really well. It's similar as I said with Kevin, because I thought Kevin's appointment was really late as well, but I think the difference is Kevin's got in and he's got a really good backroom team at the Buffs.
Yeah.
And he'll have a lot of support there, and I just don't know if Ross will get the same. But listen, I keep saying I hope nobody gets relegated.
No, I wish nobody get relegated, but that's where we're at. Ashfield, Blantyre, Renfrew. On to the second division. Very interesting league, actually. I think it's quite hard to follow. Jamie, top 3 for the second division. You've got the likes of Whitlets and Neilston coming down. Sides that maybe didn't go up. Cali Locos, obviously new manager, Danny Boyle. Kilsyth Rangers, obviously new manager as well. Besides Neilston, I think could be quite interesting. Who's your top 3 in the second division?
Cambuslang, Neilston, Lanark.
Okay.
The last one, the Lanark one, I'm not 100% on, but the other 2, I'm convinced.
Cambuslang, obviously, if you'd said a couple of months ago Cambuslang would go straight back up, but I've looked at their recruitment and the recruitment's been pretty smart.
So I think they've got good experience in there. They've managed to keep a hold of a couple for last year who were decent. Listen, I know they've went through hard times, but that league was ruthless last year. Really tough, and it's not obviously the same for them. And I do think they'll do well. I think they've got really good players in the right areas. I think Jordan McMillan went in last week as well.
He did, yeah.
And I watched Neilson against Arthurlie 2 weeks ago, and then I think it was 2 each, went to penalties. 3, I can't remember what the final score, but went to penalties. And I seen they beat Ben Bob on Saturday as well. I think they're in they've got a good mix, youth experience. They brought some good amateur players in as well. I think they'll get up.
Okay, Gary, who's your top three?
I'm looking, and probably the three that I've got are Lanark, Cali Locos, and Bonington. I think that's the way I'm looking at it. I know that Lanark were on a good run last year. They were nowhere to be seen, and they came right in. It was a good appointment for them, and it worked for both parties. So, and I think that they're just getting stronger and stronger. I think that they'll be up the top end of the table again. If Cali Locos, really good team. And it's the same with Bonington. I think that they three will be the teams that will go up for me.
Okay, so just give me them again.
Cali Locos, Lanark, and Bonington.
Cali Locos, Lanark, and Bonington. Interesting.
That's a league I'm quite looking forward to seeing a couple of games in this year. I think, as I said to you, Scott, I think, see, when you're working in one league, kind of focused on your team in the league that you're in, and you lose your knowledge of the other leagues sometimes if you can't get to see it.
Yeah.
And I think this year that's one of the things that is a strong league as well.
Yeah, it's a strong league, and I think this is quite hard to predict as well. Sides like Whitlett's coming down. I think Whitlett's will do okay whether the promotion. I don't know. I think Mick's a good appointment there, been a good appointment there as well, and he's brought a continuity. Lanark, I think, could be a side that could go straight up. I think they've got a lot of talent. I think Darrell's done superb in there. Cali Locos have signed really well. I thought Cali Locos would struggle, but see, when I knew it was Boy Boyle that's in there, that's a really smart appointment, because obviously he's experienced at Cumbernauld. He's got a good kind of crop in with him, good run club, good surface as well, which I think could be quite important. Cali Locos, Lanark are two for me, and I'm between Neilston and Maryhill, and Lark Hall were keeping up as well. I'm going to edge Neilston. I think Neilston have got enough talent to go back up, but Lark Hall were very, very unlucky last season. You've obviously got Maryhill. Mark's done terrific in there. It was a bit of a sore result of the weekend, but I wouldn't really read too much into that. I think they were beaten by a better side on the day. But Maryhill, I think last season as well, one of the best sides in the league, in terms of to watch. Really, really impressed with them last season. I don't have them in the bottom three, so I'm going to give them a big shout out. Muirkirk and Bonington, I think, could have really, really good seasons. Muirkirk, Ross Cusick had one of the jobs of the season last year in this level. The job he did at Muirkirk, and he's only beginning to get better. Bonington, I think, are beginning to find the feet. Brought in some good experience, some good young players as well. Popey's done well there as well. But Lanark, Caledonia, and Neilston for me are my top three. Jamie, who's your bottom three?
I think for me, the managerial change at the Ants in the last couple of days puts them under real pressure.
Yeah.
And I think when you change that close to the season, I think it makes you one of the favourites to be near the bottom. And I think the same, obviously, Craig Mark. I think they changed twice last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think I've been there at the start where you're trying to build a new team, new manager coming in. It's not easy. And I think for me, that'll be difficult for both of the clubs. And for me, the last one I put in was Lark Hall.
Okay.
That might be a surprise. And listen, as I said, for me, the Lark Hall goalkeeper I signed for Thornywood, who was excellent, would have been very good for them the last couple of years, and I think he'll be a loss for them. So it depends on how they've recruited to replace him. By the way, I could be miles wrong.
Yeah. We're going to be wrong, let's be honest. We're going to be right and wrong. But it's, again, they're so hard leagues to predict. But St Anne's, Craig Martin, Lark Hall for Jamie. Gary, who's your bottom three?
I'm going to agree with Craig Mark. I've got them in my bottom three. I've got Whitlett's in there, and I've got that's the three teams I think that are going to kind of be at the bottom end of the table. Again, it can be same as last year, the same story. That there's cutting edge. We could be miles wrong. It could end up Yoker. Yoker are a bizarre team for me at times. Sometimes they're a wee up front, and sometimes they're a wee back down. So it could be either or. But Craig Mark, Yoker, and Whitlett's for me. That's the way I'm predicting.
I think the situation at St Anne's is very, very concerning. And I know they've appointed their new manager today, but again, I talk a lot about the glue of certain sides. Like John always struck me as that at Blantyre. Like there's a lot of teams that remind me of that. I would have said Danny was the glue at St Anne's. and losing him, I think, could be quite a big one to replace. They lost a lot of players beforehand. The situation there was quite worrying anyway. And then when you heard Danny was going, I'm like, right, this is really, really panicking. And Yoker, very similar opinion to Gary. 1 week they can be high as you can. The next week they can have a really bad result, and you're like, where's that side? And I think Yoker could be one of the three. Again, a lot of time for Gordon. Les Mahago, I think, could be one of the three. I really don't know how to approach them this season, because they did very well to go up. They went on a sensational run last season, but go back to the early stages, they were losing a lot of goals. And the defence, I don't think, has been improved on, just for what I see on social media. I think Les Mahago, Yoker and St Ants could be my bottom three there. Craig Mark, I think, need to improve. I'm going to go with St Ants, Yoker and Les Mahago, but again, it's a tough league to assess. Into the third division, Jamie, obviously a connection there. Obviously, Lewis is up there with Glenvale. I'm imagining he's in your top three. Who's the other two? And tell us about Glenvale.
Do you want me just to give you second and third place in that league?
Aye. What about Glenvale, though? Because they were sensational last season, and I remember it with Lewis on, and he'd said about the firepower they had, and you saw every week, the Daly, Connor McLaughlin, they were all tremendous. But what can we expect for Glenvale this season as the target promotion?
I think it's got to be. I've been doing. I took a couple of sessions for them earlier on pre-season, and I watched them second half on Saturday before I went down to Atherley, and I watched them last week against Renfrew, and then the other medal games. I've seen quite a bit of them. The one thing for me that they've really strengthened defensively.
Mm-hmm.
They brought in Jason Andrew, who played for me at Johnston Borough.
Yeah.
Went to Benburb and Renfrew, but he's playing left side centre half for them now, and he's been excellent. They also brought in Jamie McGrory for Clydebank 20s, and a couple of other boys. They've strengthened anyway. Last year when I watched them, I thought at times, although they were good, it was as if they maybe never had the strength and depth. But this year, when you're watching them, they're very, very different. And that's when I was talking to Lewis last night, I think he was saying they've not conceded for a few games now, 3 or 4 games, and that shows the strength that the improvements that they've made, defensively. But I think the biggest thing for him this year was keeping his best players, and he's managed to do that. And the results against the likes of Irvine Meadows, Renfrews, like that's big results when you're trying to build a bit of momentum and belief.
Yeah. So who joins them?
So for me, it'll be. I think they'll win it. I think Threave will be up there, and Kilsyth Athletic for me are the three.
Okay, so Threave and Kilsyth Athletic. Gary, where are you at with the third division?
I agree with everything with Jamie there with Glenvale. I've not seen them for over a year now, but when I seen them last year, I thought they were outstanding. They really were, and they blew away the fourth division, and I think they'll come in to the third division, and I think that they'll do really well. I think they maybe get looking at the other side of it, like last year, they maybe get a wee bit more time probably in the ball in the fourth division. I think this year you're maybe some of the games you're going to go to, you're not going to get maybe the time going down to the likes of like on December, for example. You've got to kind of adjust your games, but I do think that they're going to be up there. I think Threave will be the next. They'll be another team that will be the top end. They're kind of growing momentum as well. Obviously, I was down in the south there, and they've signed a few boys for players down there that were decent, really, really good players. So they've strengthened. I think that they'll be up there. And then the last one's between Finnart and Glasgow United. I still think with the firepower at Glasgow United, I still think we obviously with David Goodwillie still there. The numbers speak for themselves. I think that they'll be up at the top end, but when it comes to it, I'm going to back my big pal Brian at Finnart. So Finnart, Threave and Glenvale, and I'm not going to.
Yeah, I think Glenvale, just the talent they've got, as I say, like I take a lot of trust in what Jamie's saying about Glenvale and what their targets are. I thought that last season. I thought actually with Thorn as well, they could just go up and up again. Thorn have got a lot of talent as well, Jamie. I really think Thorn could kick on as well. Threave on the other side, I think Threave will kick themselves out. They didn't got last season, and I think they've actually improved. And I don't think the league has. I think this is the one league where I would say you can see a couple of sides kicking on, and Glenvale and Thorn would fit that bill, and I think Threave are up there as well. I think this could be. I'm very confident that Glenvale and Threave anyway are going to go up, and I think Thorn might be best of the rest. But there's also sides in there. Kilsyth Athletic could be very good. Fanart could be good. Arvin Vicks, I wouldn't sleep on either. I think they've got a lot of talent, and obviously a continuity appointment as well. But in terms of bottom three, Jamie, what do we think of the third division?
Let's see, when I'm looking at this for me is guesswork. As I'm not too proud to say it, but I've went for Ardea, Lugard and Glasgow Uni.
Okay.
And that is, like, I think towards the end of last year, I never watched Ardea. I keep in touch with the social media stuff, watched a lot of Sean's interviews and stuff like that. And at the time, it looked like a tough season for them. And I hope he doesn't. I like Sean, he's a nice guy. I hope they stay up. But for me, I had them down. I've not seen a lot with Lugard and Glasgow Uni. But again, this is one of the reasons I didn't put Thorn into my top three as well. I genuinely think the managerial changes caused a lot of disruption at times, and I know they're due to change again in maybe 6 or 8 weeks. And I think with Glasgow Uni, there's not been that continuity there, and for me, I think that's why they'll struggle.
Okay. So Ardea, Lugard, and Glasgow Uni for Jamie. Gary, who's in your bottom three?
I've got Glasgow Uni in there. Similar to last year again, I just think that you need a consistent squad on a week-to-week basis, and I think that we're talking about managerial changes throughout, and maybe people coming and going, and that disrupts things. I think that it's even worse if you've got a squad that you don't know what you've got week to week. So I don't think that really sits too great for us. So I think that Glasgow Uni are going to struggle again. I know I said them last year. I think Kilsyth will be down there.
Okay.
I know they done well 2 years ago. They came up, and they done okay last year. But I think that they'll maybe struggle, and I've got Ardea as well. That's the three that I've got. So it'll be Ardea, Kilsyth, and Glasgow Uni.
Okay, I'm with you in Glasgow Uni. I've got the same three that went down for the second, going down in the third. Perthshire worry me as well. I think they are, again, there's a lot of unknown with Perthshire because you don't really know. They finished fourth last season, and then they finished 16th the season after. Like, that worries me. Again, I haven't seen much improvement in terms of who they've brought in. Wishaw, again, I think David was a big appointment there as well when he was there. Obviously, losing him, I think, was another bad omen for them. And the uni sides are really hard to predict at this point of the season. I had that worry last season with them. They did have a couple of decent results, but they struggled too much. And I'm going to go Uni, Perthshire, Wishaw for my bottom three. Fourth division, final league. Jamie, who is your top three on there? I think this could be a cracker this season.
Rossvale, Eglinton, Port Glasgow.
Okay.
Played against Rossvale in a friendly last year, and I was really, really impressed with how they played. Thought well coached, really, really good. So I think they'll be strong. Seen Eglinton in a good pre-season. I always say the pre-season results don't count for much, but they've recruited well as well. And I don't think MD's ever enjoyed going for a game of football down at the Port.
No.
Get an easy result. So they've also recruited well and got a bit of experience in there. So I think they'll do well.
Gary, obviously your old club, East Kilbride Thistle, will be looking to get back up. Obviously, it struggled last season to get into the promotion hunt, but I know there'll be confidence there. Are they in your top three?
It's one of the ones. They're not in my top three again. I think they're probably 2 or 3 or 4 seasons away from maybe getting promoted. I hope I'm wrong, but I think they need to maybe add a wee bit more experience with the squad that they've got. It seems to be just kind of the boys going through for the 20s, and need to add them maybe a wee bit more experience in there just to try and see them through games, because I think they were probably one of the highest scoring last year, but also one of the highest conceding.
Yeah.
So it's just a case of going for it, and then if you score, we'll score. It's just a game of tennis to an extent. So I think that they need a couple of experienced heads in there just to see out games rather than turn the draws into wins and the losses into draws kind of thing. So the way that I've got it, I think Port Glasgow, it's not the nicest of places to go down there to, and I don't mean that. I mean that in the nicest way in the world. It's even some of the ultras and stuff like that can be mental. We were down there with Fanart about a season ago. Running on the park carnage. It's good if you're at home, if you're from Port Glasgow, but it's a difficult place. So I think that they'll come up there. I think Easterhouse will really. I think that they've got a really good chance of going and winning it. I think. I know that's going to raise eyebrows again, but when Andy sort of went in there, they picked up maybe maybe 6 points. And then out of the remaining games, he done a remarkable job. So I think that he'll go on and get promoted with him. And I've got Giffnock in there as well. That's the three that I think will be Port Glasgow, Easterhouse, and Giffnock. And like I said, I hope I'm wrong with the East Kilbride prediction. I really am. I think if they had a couple of players, they'll maybe get there. But that's the three that I'm going for.
Okay. I'm with Jamie on Rossvale and Eglinton. I think Eglinton, some of their business has been excellent. I think last season, I think that this was always a 3-year project, and I think we're at the summit of this. I think they will go up. I think they've got a lot of talent. I think they're really well managed, well drilled. Rossvale, I think, should go up, and they've improved. Josh, a terrific coach. Got a lot of time and respect for Josh, and they were unlucky last season. Actually, they had bad injuries at certain times. My third one, this is really hard because you've got 4 or 5 teams. Kello, I think, could be pretty good. I wouldn't put anybody off Knightswood having a sensational season because I think they've got the players to do so. And my other side, I've got Port Glasgow and Carluke and Kello, and I think I'm going to edge Carluke. I think Thomas Devine and Peter Kane have done well there. Again, good side, can attract players. Obviously, you've got the Senior Scottish Cup that will attract a good level of player. I'm going to edge Carluke. I think they should be better than where they are. East Kilbride Thistle, I wouldn't put anyone off either. But right now, I'm going to just show Rossvale, Eglinton, Carluke. Jamie, final prediction. Who's your bottom 3 in this league?
Saltcoats, Campbelltown, St Peters.
Okay. Gary, who's your bottom 3?
Ross Park. Saltcoats, I think they're still in a bit of a transition period. I said it last year that there's still a bit of work to be done there. So I think they're going to be down there. New Mains, I don't think that they're going to. I think that they're going to be down that neck of the woods. And BSC Glasgow, that's the 3 that I'm going to go for.
Okay. One side I will mention, who I forgot to mention there, Royal Albert, I think could be better this season. Some good level of player in there as well this season, and I think once Connor went in, he really got a tune out of them, and they're kicking on. Don't think they'll finish top 3, but I think they'll finish a lot better than they did last season. My bottom 3, Campbelltown will be in there. I think Campbelltown, obviously, you've got the struggle to attract the players that maybe other sides in the league can attract. New Mains probably in there as well. In West Park, I think the big part of it, like the West Park side that went up 2 seasons ago to now is chalk and cheese. And like now you're looking at them and thinking that's a big difference. And you would usually expect, like, I do think Port Glasgow and Kello will challenge. I don't see West Park challenging at all. And West Park, Campbelltown, New Mains for me. St Peters would be in there as well, along with Saltcoats, but I'm going to go West Park, Campbelltown, New Mains. And that's us in terms of predictions for our top 3 and bottom 3 for the 5 leagues, but we're going to just have one more. So we always do this. We did this in the shows last year. We did it in shows we've done already this season. An out-of-the-wall prediction, but I'm going to change it a wee bit here. Jamie, what West of Scotland side will go further in the Senior Scottish Cup?
Cumnock.
Okay. Gary?
Experience there, I think. So I think they'll get a decent chance.
Okay.
Sorry,
Coming for Jamie. Gary?
I would. That's who I had my mind as well, because I know that the boys 50s were in there, and that's who I had as well. But I'm probably I'll back that as well.
Gary, you've been copying my answers all night.
I've got mine written down, Jamie. I'm writing it with a crane here, so.
I am going to go for, I think a side that could do really well in the Scottish Cup is Clydebank. I think they're pretty much a cup side. They did well in the cup a couple of years ago, close last season. I think in terms of senior Scottish Cup, obviously there's a lot of stories between Clydebank. I'm going to go for Clydebank to do pretty well. Jamie, how much have you enjoyed your predictions, and are you ready for the outburst that's going to follow?
I enjoyed predicting the top threes. How many of the bottom threes did I get out of actually committing to?
I know. It's tough, isn't it? It's tough, but
it's
yeah.
very tough because you obviously have a lot of relationships at this level of the game, and you also, but you can only see what you see. Do you know what I mean? So that's one of the things. It's enjoyable. It's interesting because, let's be honest, how many of them will we be right with?
You're right.
You know?
You're right. Gary, what's your thoughts in the season ahead, and how much have you enjoyed predicting again? And we'll be back here in May, and you'll be 30 out of 30 and telling us all what the lottery numbers are that week.
I wish. It's been great. Hopefully, if I can get the same amount as what I got last year, then I'll be delighted. But I really think this year it's so much harder. Last year it felt a wee bit. The leagues were a wee bit more sort of diverse this year. That they feel a wee bit more balanced. So I think if I get half of what I got last year, this year, then I'll be happy. But that's where we're at.
Absolutely, and we are going to be here throughout the season on the 80. First of all, thanks very much to everyone that's tuned in. We'll be back next week with our first review episode of the season. We'll be here all season long. We'll be talking to players and staff throughout the league, so stay tuned for that. Jamie, thank you very much for joining me, mate. All the best for the season ahead whenever it comes for you.
Thanks, Scott. Much appreciated.
And Gary, same to yourself, mate. It's been a pleasure as always to get you back on the prediction show. All the best for what's coming up this season for you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much, folks. And we'll see you all soon for the next episode of the 80.